everybody. Lisa Sabaniak here from lifelikeyoumeanit.com, coming to you live to talk about another chapter in my Survivor to Warrior book. So this is our Survivor to Warrior self-help series. And today we're talking about chapter 7, which is control versus power. So, when we feel like we are in control, we feel like we are powerful, right? And when we feel like we are out of control, then we feel like we are powerless. And that leads us to believe that the two are interchangeable, that control is the same thing as power and vice versa. But they're not. Right? I mean, it's true, during the whole time that I was going through child abuse, I definitely felt powerless and I felt like I had no control. So I can see how I thought at that time those two things were the same, right? And I would try to gain back some of my control in the situation by creating some habits. So, some of the things, for example, during the time of the abuse, I started to get really good at being able to walk into the room where my abuser was and kind of sense his mood and just be able to read the room, if you will, and then adjust my behavior and anything that I said or did so that I could appease him, which oftentimes meant that I avoided being hit or anything else. So that turned out to be a really amazing coping strategy that I used to try to feel like I had some control, like I had some power back, right? Because I was in control of what it was that I was doing there, and then I controlled the situation and I saved myself. Right. So, because this really led to my safety, this coping mechanism was something that I carried on with me. And so this became something that I was able to do and get even better at as I grew up, right? So still to this day, I can walk into a room and read the room and give people what it is that they want. If they need funny Lisa, then I'll be funny Lisa. If they need serious Lisa, I'll be serious Lisa. If they need shut up Lisa that sits in the corner and doesn't say anything, that's who I would be, right? So that's sure, you could say that that's a great skill to have, but it it gives you a false sense of power, right? And it's really feeling like you have no control when actually you have all of the control, right? So going into, bringing this skill into my life after abuse, it really meant that I was assuming that I still had no control. And so I was trying to fight for control in these different little ways. And I started becoming a perfectionist, right? I would start to need to have everything in its place, right? Again, a way of controlling my environment, which then made me feel like I had power, right? Which, again, the two are not interchangeable, right? So by attempting to grasp small chunks of the control pie, as I like to call it, when I could, I was putting myself and my energy in a place of lacking control in the first place, right? To need to grab for control in those ways was basically saying that I didn't have any control. So it was reinforcing this lack of control. And what I needed to learn is that power doesn't come from overpowering or controlling others or controlling a situation. True power actually lies in the understanding that we cannot control the actions and reactions of other people, but we have all of the control of our own actions and reactions. Nobody else can control those. That's us. We've got all that control, right? So eliminating the need to control others or control the situation that's at hand, that allows you to gain true power. Recognizing that what you actually have control of is here, it's you. That's where the focus is. And that you need to just literally be able to surrender that attempt to control other people or the situation around you. Surrender that out to the universe, because there's nothing you are ever going to be able to do to actually control that. And what you'll end up doing instead is trying to do all these other things that end up, causing a great problem. I give an example in the book, like people that have anxiety, that the anxiety comes out in them cleaning, right? They get obsessive in the cleaning of their home, for example. I've known people who have done this, and at certain times in my own life, I've done this. And it's always because they feel like they're so out of control with other things that they are trying to control something very specific. And so that ends up being the cleaning of their home, right? And how clean it is and how clean it stays, and all of that. That's something that they have control over. But then it becomes obsessive, right? Very rarely is it something that you just do at the one time and you're like, oh, that feels better, that's balance. You tend to get obsessive with these types of things, right? So surrendering, recognizing first of all that what it is that you're trying to control that's causing you to create this control dynamic in another way is something that you can't control and you'll never be able to control because it involves other people, right? We can't control what they think, we can't control what they say or what they do, the decisions that they make, or anything at all. We just have no control over it, right? If you work and you've got a boss that doesn't speak very nicely to everybody on the staff, you can't control that, right? Sure, there's different things that you can do to try to bring awareness to this person that their words are hurtful, or that you respond better to something, like along these lines, and give an example. And sometimes that really works because the person doesn't realize how they're coming off to other people. But most times, that person is just going to keep on doing what they do because them treating other people poorly meets a need in themselves. It makes them feel powerful, right? And so you can't control them. You can do your best to, like I said, bring awareness to the situation for them, but then they get to decide if they're going to do anything about that. If they clearly decide they're not going to do anything about that, then the only thing you can control is how you are choosing to respond and interact with the language that that person is using, how you allow it to affect yourself, right? How you take it personally or not, right? Those are all things that you can control. And so by surrendering the need to control how this person actually speaks to other people, you are actually bringing power back to yourself. I hope that that makes sense. If you would like more information on how I can help you with whatever it is that you are struggling with in your healing process, then jump on over into a free discovery call with me at lifelikeyoumean.com/calendar. And I will see you in a couple of days for our next live. Bye.